McCallia, and welcome to Q&A, the program where you meet the leaders from Long Island to Albany to Washington. Tonight we go beyond the soundbite with Nassau County Executive Tom Suozzi. Coming up next on Q&A. Welcome. Tonight we check in with the very busy Nassau County Executive Tom Suozzi. His political foes have bristled at his Fix Albany campaign to reform Medicare, but Suozzi has remained steadfast, calling for the defeat of opposing Democrats. You might think that would be enough for the county executive, but last month he oversaw another bond rating upgrade for Nassau County. I'll ask him about that and what he has planned next. But first, a little background information from Newsday's Michael Rothfeld. Now, you've been covering Tom Suozzi pretty intensely for the last couple of years. Tell us generally what he's about.
Well, Seema, he's pretty much gotten the county's finances under control by now, which was his main mandate when he came into office after the Republicans had allowed the county to go into fiscal crisis. The county's got numerous bond rating increases. It's run surpluses the last few years and expected to have another surplus this year. But it still has a lot of fiscal challenges ahead. They have about $300 million in outstanding tax refunds that they expect to owe, and they need to get that under control soon, or they're going to have to start paying that out of their budget. And if they don't, they could get taken over by a state control board. They have millions of dollars in escalating pension costs, and while Suozzi has said he doesn't want to increase taxes for the remainder of his term, he might have to increase the residential energy tax, which would give residents higher LIPA bills if they don't do that. He's launched a campaign, a Fix Albany campaign, to reform the state Medicaid costs, which put...
He's getting into a lot of political trouble over this Fix Albany campaign, isn't he?
Yeah, he's really angered the incumbent state lawmakers in Albany, especially the Democrats, who think he's being a disloyal Democrat, and they recently snubbed him from attending the Democratic convention in Boston, the presidential campaign. But Suozzi pretty much doesn't care about that because he wasn't liked by them anyway after he beat Assemblyman Tom DiNapoli, who was their local favorite. So he thinks this is a good way for him to take on an issue that will be popular with voters and possibly run for governor in 2006.
How realistic is it that he might run for governor?
Well, one of the main problems is that he's going to have to run for re-election next year, and he's going to have to spend a lot of money on that, especially because he had a scandal in his economic development department last year, which local Republicans are likely to use against him in the re-election campaign. So how much money will he have left over when if he decides to run for governor in 2006 against the odds is a big question.
Now, has he been effective in terms of his goals, in terms of cost cutting and fiscal management?
Well, he has been effective in definitely stabilizing the county finances. He's cut the workforce by more than 1,000 employees, but it's starting to show some signs of strain. He's got a lot of overtime costs in the police department,
well,
at the
don't you make
county
a lot of enemies locally if you start cutting costs in terms of cutting employees?
Well,
does it hurt him politically?
Well, yes. The local police union leader, Gary DeLaRaba, has been his biggest enemy and has started collecting money, which he may be using as Suozzi runs for re-election to basically help his opponents. So that could be an issue.
And how is he seen generally as a governor, or as a little Freudian slip on behalf of Suozzi there, as a county executive? Does the public see him as effective? Is he doing what the voters want?
I think he believes, and I think his polls show that people see him as somebody who isn't afraid to take on the status quo, and that's definitely the image that he wants to cultivate. He did a poll when he was fighting the police union, and voters apparently liked the fact that he was fighting for their interests. So that is definitely something that plays to his popularity.
Well, Tom, thank you for being here today. You've had a very busy month since you